On the transportation package, we did a statewide tour. We had 3 work groups do some pretty intensive work on 3 different topics as it relates to the transportation package. And on my commitment, because it is such a big piece of legislation, where we're going to talk about revenue and expenditures and accountability, we need to have a transparent process on that and not have people making decisions in the basement of the Capitol. Those were the words of Speaker Julie Fahey at the beginning of this legislative session. I would like to take you quickly to where we are today in this legislative session. Today, as we stand on the floor and I hear my colleagues talk about how this isn't a partisan issue. This isn't party politics. We have to stand up for working families. Working families can't afford tariffs. Working families can't afford these new taxes. We need tax reform. We need tax reductions. And yet, they so desperately want to increase $2 billion of new taxes on Oregon families. 12 new taxes. Gas tax, tire tax. The list goes on and on. Registration, road user fees, on and on the list goes. Because this is a body that is so concerned with standing up for Oregonians that they are demanding we speak out against the federal administration while they go into back rooms, secret back rooms in the basement of the Capitol and determine how much cost they're going to add to Oregon families today. The hypocrisy is overwhelming. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, today I saw something, and I'll get to that at the end of my remonstrance, but I saw something today that just irritated me so bad that I felt like I needed to stand up and say a few words. I want to first read off the definition of hypocrisy. Hypocrisy, the act of pretending to have virtues, beliefs, or principles that one does not actually possess or practice. It involves saying one thing while doing another, often with the intention of deceiving or appearing better than one truly is. I've heard my colleague, Representative Juncker, talk about the Oregon way. Rather than impugn this House, I'll just use the word the Oregon way. In Oregon, we're against air pollution, but we continue to mismanage our forests and we let our forests burn and we create air pollution. In Oregon, we don't want to do any logging. We're trying to stop all logging, but we'll let ODF lease property to build wind turbines, and they're going to log, and they're not going to plant trees back in those places where they're going to log. In Oregon, we don't want to endanger our wildlife, yet we'll support offshore wind, and we'll threaten our fisheries. That's okay. Hypocrisy. In Oregon, we support abortion rights that end an infant's life, but we will ban flavored cigarettes and tobacco to keep kids from dying. Hypocrisy. We say we are building 36,000 houses a year. That's what our governor asked us to do to get out of our homeless issue. Yet we pass laws to add charging stations to new developments that house low-income people who don't drive electric cars, adding as much as $50,000 per door, which hurts the whole process. In Oregon, we ban natural gas, but we have a state penitentiary that uses diesel generators to heat in the wintertime. And that's because we don't have enough natural gas because we've killed our natural gas off. In 2023, I voted for a styrofoam ban. Much to my resistance, I felt like it was probably a good idea. It was a styrofoam ban on restaurants for takeout foods. Senator Salem brought this to us. When it was in hearing in my committee, I had nobody oppose it. Long after we passed it off the floor and it became law, the law actually became, I think in January, it actually took place, and then my phone blew up. I had people coming to me saying how much more expensive it was to have, I'm running out of time. Anyway, let's go back. I look outside my office window today, I see truckloads of styrofoam going into this very building. Truckloads, not just one or two containers. I'm talking 40-foot semi-truckloads of styrofoam going right into the ground of this building. If that's not hypocrisy, I don't know what it is. Thanks.
Thank you, Representative.
The new forecast predicts $500 million less than previously predicted. It's no surprise that Democrats who spent years passing policies that weaken our economy are united to point fingers at anyone but themselves. They blame tariffs and federal uncertainty as the cause of our weakened economy. The truth is, the blood is on their hands. Decades of high taxes, excessive regulation, and mismanagement of funds is the real reason why our economy is not as strong as it could be. I caution this body from further hurting working class Oregonians by raising taxes to fill the $500 million gap. This would only have further long-term negative effects on our economy and our state budget. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Colleagues, I'm sure you saw the news that a 36-year-old man was arrested last week in Salem facing drug trafficking charges in New Mexico. This Mexican national was arrested for trafficking a ring that brought millions of fentanyl pills to Oregon, New Mexico, Colorado, Arizona, Utah. This multi-jurisdictional effort led by the DEA confiscated 4.2 million fentanyl pills, 11.5 kilograms of fentanyl powder, 79 pounds of methamphetamine, 4.5 kilograms of heroin, and 7.6 kilograms of cocaine, according to prosecutors. They also confiscated $4.4 million in cash, 41 guns, 7 vehicles. I think the question I have looking at this news is, what have we done in Oregon that made us a place that was attractive to this gentleman? This man, I would imagine, was trafficking more than these drugs. I'm going to guess that there was sex trafficking. I'm going to guess that there was human trafficking, a ton of illegal activity, property crimes surrounding this endeavor as well. What is it that we have done in the state of Oregon that made us attractive for this individual to come to Oregon to live? I think the intentions of being a sanctuary state can at times be compelling. We can say there are refugees, there are people from around the world that are looking for a safe space to flee persecution. And yet I think simultaneously we open up opportunities like this for bad citizens, bad actors to come and find a safe refuge as well. Colleagues, it's time to reconsider our sanctuary state status.
Thank you, Mr. President. I saw the majority leader's press release regarding the forecast this morning, and the majority leader encouraged Republicans to work with the Democrats of this chambers to shift the tides of all the problems that President Trump is causing. But it wasn't President Trump who raised taxes in Portland to create the highest tax rate in the United States for those making over $400,000. Unless you make over $25 million, then it's New York. And it wasn't President Trump who created the data, which is now being called the doom loop about Portland. It wasn't President Trump who raised the cost of our schools by passing policy bills, which we did here this session, such that when you look at PERS, legacy debts, and the costs of the various bills and policies, in my district, schools have to send a third of their dollars before they can even get to the classroom. It wasn't President Trump who raised the cost of government by the policies passed by this chamber and the other chamber to raise the costs of everything in the workplace, and our city governments, our county governments, and our state governments coming back and saying current service levels are now here. It used to be, we can't manage it, give us more. It wasn't President Trump that produced the transportation failures of Oregon Department of Transportation. That wasn't President Trump, no, it was us. One political party in charge of the state of Oregon, one political party that has done mission creep, one political party that has to look in the mirror and say, we've done this to our state.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, on Tuesday, the largest fentanyl bust in U.S. history took place. And the ringleader was living here in Salem, just a mile or two away from this very building. And that should raise flags for every single one of us. So why would a cartel boss trafficking millions of fentanyl pills across the country, why would he choose Oregon as his headquarters? Why is that? And I think the answer is clear and it's pretty damning. Our lax enforcement and our sanctuary policies have made Oregon a safe haven for the cartels. They know they're not going to be bothered here. They know they can operate in peace while Oregonians suffer and die due to that. And where are our leaders? I haven't heard a thing from our governor or attorney general on this. Nothing. But their silence says a lot. Oregon is a sanctuary state, not just for undocumented immigrants, but for drug traffickers and human smugglers. And our vote today on House Bill 3551 says a lot too. We have the chance to take a common sense approach to enforce federal immigration laws on people that are convicted of violent crime, and we refuse that. We've heard a lot of outrage on this floor about deportations in other states and due process. But where's the outrage about this? Where's the outrage on this? Where's the compassion for the Oregonians who are addicted because of behavior like this that we allow in our state? Or the kids that are killed because of this behavior? And I have family friends that have died because of fentanyl. So I think Oregonians expect our laws to be enforced. They expect safety in their neighborhoods, and they don't expect to be living next to cartel ringleaders. It's not too much to ask. So I demand our governor and our attorney general actually make a statement about this, change their ways, cooperate with federal authorities. And I'd urge this body to reconsider House Bill 3551, pass that bill. And I think the people of Oregon are watching, and they want us to do the right thing. Thank you. You know, sometimes I feel like Oregon is living in the upside down. A place where truth is called hate and common sense is labeled as extremism. We're told boys can be girls, science must bend to feelings, and that objective reality must bow to fantasy. We're told that skin color and background matter more than character and work ethic. And we've abandoned the sacredness of life, reducing the unborn to cell tissue, while calling it progress that 1 in 3 Oregonians now rely on government assistance. That's not compassion, it's collapse. Despite record-breaking revenue forecasts, we're told we're in a budget crisis. We sit on vast timber, farmland, and mineral wealth, but we lock it away under red tape, then import what we need from slave labor and communist regimes. They call it environmental justice while we export pollution and prop up tyranny. We declared ourselves a sanctuary state and got fentanyl on every corner, human trafficking and cartels on our streets. Yet we're told this is compassion. Criminals are coddled, victims are ignored, and law-abiding citizens are blamed. It's not the man pulling the trigger who's guilty, but the size of my magazine. And if we just keep handing out free needles and taxpayer-funded housing, the addiction crisis will somehow fix itself. We outsourced our jobs and call it progress, while working Oregonians are left behind. And always the solution is the same: raise taxes, grow government, and trust the bureaucrats. I think it's time to turn Oregon right side up, and I think it's time to reclaim our state. And that starts with the truth. Boys are boys, girls are girls. Biology isn't bigotry. Dignity comes from responsibility, not victimhood. Merit matters, and every human life has value, even the unborn. Real progress means fewer people on welfare and more in good-paying jobs. That means bringing manufacturing back, empowering small businesses, and restoring opportunity. Let our loggers log, let our farmers farm, let our builders build. No one stewards the land better than those who depend on it. We need secure borders and a lawful immigration system that serves Americans, not cartels. Justice means accountability, and compassion without responsibility is chaos. And finally, we must rein in bloated bureaucracy and return power to the people. Let families, churches, and communities lead, not just the government. The upside down must end, and with courage and conviction, it will. Oregon, let's take back our state. Thank you.
And I want to be clear, when we walked out, this was a big issue for us. And we did polling, we did message testing, like we were engaged with our constituents, asking the question, can you afford a $6 billion new tax?
Yeah.
It'd be about $1,500 per, like we ran the math, we asked people. And when you said, hey, do you want to reduce emissions? People said yes. And when we said, how much would you be willing to pay in taxes to reduce emissions? And they said, $75 a year. That's what they said. And so when you said, well, this is a $1,500 per family per year program, people
Just
were like,
to start.
I'm out, right? People were, I'm out. And so we went to Democrat leadership and we said, your plan is so unpopular with the people.
Correct.
You need to refer this to the people at the very least. Let the people vote, because they don't like your plan. And Democrat leadership said, we don't care. We get the power, we get the authority, we get enough votes, we're moving this. And so get out of the way and just sit down and shut up and know your place. Your place is just to sit in your seat and cast your no vote, give your speech, and I don't know about you, but I didn't come to the legislature just to get steamrolled.
Right.
Right?
Well,
The people were asking us to stand up. Timber Unity showed up,
Oh,
truckers, people from around the state, business owners came and
Well, and just real quick to add to that.
He's got a felony warrant out of Thurston County Sheriff's Office because this is the third time we've pursued this individual in 6 months. So the last time I talked about him, I actually specifically stated that if the judges don't start taking this seriously, that someone's going to get hurt or killed. And here we are, shooting at the police. So maybe they'll take it more serious this time, but I'm not confident. Yeah, it's hard to believe this is going to end peacefully.
And there you have it, America. The Pacific Northwest is not lost. There are organized political efforts to push back against the totalitarian regimes in place in Washington and Oregon. They may not be as vocal as what you're used to on a national stage, but to write off the Pacific Northwest is premature. Many of the highlighted were from Oregon and the Oregon State's representative body in Salem. This meme here, pulled from PNW Conservative, which is a guy based out of Washington State, and the previous sheriff's deputy was also Washington State, but all the others were focused mainly on Oregon. So Libs of TikTok still doing her shame tour for being part of Bindergate. Washington State resident reportedly wrote a letter to Representative Rick Larsen asking him to support the Lake and Riley Act. And just so everybody's clear, Rick Larsen is a Democrat. He replied stating that he opposes detaining criminal illegals arrested for violent crimes, supports a pathway to citizenship for illegal alien invaders, and wants to fund organizations that help illegals. So, if you watched the other video that I provided about the women who are, the school counselor, the mother who let her kid go to the school rather than emergency services because of his concussion injuries to his head from an ATV accident, the woman that went in the bedroom, I included a screenshot from the Post Millennial that they posted on X about Bob Ferguson signing into law a bill protecting child predators who are teachers from being identified. This is what we're up against in the Pacific Northwest. But to write off the Pacific Northwest is premature. There are organized efforts, as demonstrated with the collage of state representative and Senate member videos, and there are unorganized efforts also. Many of them are posting on X directly. Some are, in my case, posting here on Rumble, YouTube, Gab, Truth Social, and X. And I have no doubt the others are doing the same. Good luck.